Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell, and today we're going to answer a letter from somebody who is struggling to find empathy for someone who was pretty fucking shitty to them. So...
Ooh, that caught me off guard.
Before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
That's right. We're not professionals. We're not trained in this. We are only here to offer our humble musings to hopefully shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding but mostly confusing experience that is love. All right, so we are going to dive right into today's letter. It is from Anonymous, whose pronouns are they, them, who is writing to us from Milwaukee. Sam and Sierra, every time I started to write this letter, I thought of a reason I shouldn't. This morning, I realized that I've been going back and forth for 2 years and decided I should just write the dang thing. So here it goes. Good thing you did, because we chose
2
it.
2 years, yeah. Wow, that's a lot of time to be thinking about it.
It's like a literal shoot your shot sort of situation.
Yeah, and guess what? It paid off because we're reading your letter.
So if you are at home thinking that you should write us a letter, just do it. Okay, here we go.
Please do it.
I've been with my partner since 2021. We got engaged and bought a house last year. The love is relentless, which Sam underlined and put 3 exclamation points next to. I couldn't tell if that was because you loved that word or that you didn't like that word.
It's just like it was very intense. Also, I was probably like towards the end of the beer that I was drinking by the time we got to this letter.
So he was like, relentless love. Yeah. Anyway, I like it. I've been
taking our letters to the... Yeah, it's great. But like, as I've been taking our letters to like the local brewery and like drinking a beer while I read them as like a treat to myself while I read letters.
Cute.
And so by the end of the pile, I'm usually like, what is happening here?
Okay. Anyway, okay. The love is relentless. A+ from the poet. And we are overwhelmingly happy. He is so sweet and communicative and caring, and we have so much fun together. The problem is his ex. Ain't it always the ex? No, just kidding. It's always the actual partner.
Yeah, it actually is always the partner.
Yeah. The best summary I can give is that she was abusive to both of us, and now I'm feeling so much hate towards her that it's making me feel unlike myself. Here is the backstory. When I started dating my partner, the two of them had been broken up for about a year, but she was trying to stay in contact. My partner said that the breakup was hard on her, and she tried to get back together with him. He showed me the messages she would send him, trying to convince him to come back or, quote, be friends, while also intermittently verbally abusing him. She found out who I was when my partner's mom started following me on Instagram. She started adding me on Instagram with a dozen new accounts. This was before Instagram let you block all accounts created by a single IP address. While she messaged me incessantly, trying to tell me what a horrible person my partner was and how she wanted to, quote, warn me, she was messaging him, trying to tell him how ugly and not his type I was. She eventually realized that I wasn't going to break up with him, and that's when she turned the insult on me. She called me ugly, stupid, and the C word. She attacked my career, my body type, my face, my nose, my ass, my friends, and my hobbies. She reached out to people I went to school with to get dirt on me, and then came back to me telling me that they said horrible things about me, which I don't believe. She threatened to hurt me if I ever went into her current town, one of my favorite vacation spots, and also, quote, banned me from some other places. She said she would ruin my life if I didn't comply. When we were blocked on her every account possible, she used her work's social media to harass us until we blocked her there as well. My partner blocked her number, but she used a texting app to call him and send him messages and pictures of herself. Eventually, he changed his number as well. That was honestly just the beginning. At this point, we have blocked her on every social media and messaging platform. Our family and friends have blocked her, and I've systematically blocked all of the friends and family accounts she used to stalk us online. We never filed anything legally out of fear that she would lose her job and then come back to her hometown, which is close to us. Fortunately, things have died down completely in the last 6 months, but we are still taking precautions to make sure she doesn't know where we live and that we don't run into her in the real world, etc. I know she needs love and support, and that she's, quote, on a journey. But that's as much sympathy as I can muster, which leads me to my problem. I cannot stop feeling angry. I don't believe that I'm ugly or dumb or boring, or that I have a flat ass or a big nose, but I am constantly thinking of things that I want to say back to her. I want to criticize her face and her job and her lifestyle. I want to make fun of her for her failures. I want people to know about the weird stuff she sent us and the horrible things she's done to us. Through all of her bullying and harassment, I never said any of those things. I never reached out. My strategy when we did engage, which I regretted every time, was to be kind in the hopes she would calm down. At worst, I was sarcastic and cold. None of that ever worked. She always remained proud and convinced that she was in the right, which is absolutely fucking bonkers. I'm trying to get rid of these hateful feelings. I'm never going to say what I want to say because I refuse to be cruel to her. I also just hate that I'm thinking such terrible thoughts. Even writing this letter feels bad. I feel like a nasty person. I've tried so long to build empathy, but I always go back to her horrible words. How do I forgive someone who has not only refused to apologize, but also seems so staunchly self-righteous and self-centered? I love you both. Even if you don't respond to this, it helps that someone else is hearing it. Also, I've listened to every episode of your podcast, so I should be able to answer it my dang self. That is so charming.
That's very cute.
My darling anonymous, thank you so much. After 2 years, thank you for writing this letter. I'm so glad you did. I'm so fucking sorry that this person unleashed her very disappointing humanity on you. I have empathy for this person because I have empathy for most human beings, but what she did was inexcusable and hurtful and goes beyond the realm of on a journey, right? Like, you're on a journey if you text your ex one night because you're drunk, right? You're on a journey if you want to say mean things to your ex's new girlfriend and then, don't. This is a little bit more than a journey, right?
For sure.
And I'm really sorry that you're still processing the aftermaths of behavior like this.
For sure. Absolutely. And we're going to get into more of this in just a second. All right, everyone. Welcome back. So I will also just say that, we sort of read this letter with a little bit of levity. And I think that you wrote it in kind of a way that was isn't it just so absurd, the things that this person was saying to me? And I want to keep it there, right? I want to appreciate how absurd this person is. And I also want to recognize that even though all of the things that she was saying were untrue and you love and support your partner and he loves and supports you, even all of that, this is awful, right? This is scary. It's hard to hear somebody say such horrible things to you, even if the insults were stupid and untrue, right? It's awful to know that she was reaching out to friends and family, trying to talk to them about you. And the lack of a feeling of safety, not knowing when the next thing is going to come and when that thing is going to, or where it's going to come from, right? That's scary. It's traumatic. It's this behavior is really harmful. And yes, I want to make sure that we're putting it in the context of and she was being ridiculous while she was doing it. What a weirdo. But I also want to say no matter how outlandish or off base those insults were, this experience, was really scary and terrible.
Totally.
And I think part of what might help you in this moment when you're sort of trying to figure out, where do I put all this anger? What am I supposed to do with this? I want to just be lashing out right back, is to do a little tenderness with yourself in this moment, right? To hold yourself and see this wound and say yeah, absolutely. I was never necessarily physically unsafe. I was never in a place where my boyfriend wasn't believing me about the things that I was saying. But still, like, this was really hard. This was really challenging. This person caused me a lot of pain. Even if I don't believe any of the words she was saying, the act of it caused me significant harm. Because I think so much of anger is often like trying to get the attention of everyone to say, like, this hurts. This is bad. Why is no one seeing this? Why is no one recognizing how awful this person was? I'm going to lash out. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to throw everything at her to be like, see how big this is. See how much this is hurting. When often what the answer is like, how are you tending to the person inside you, the child inside you that's been deeply hurt by the fact that this person kept reaching out in such unsafe ways.
Right. And like Sam said, you might not believe the things she said, but if you don't believe them, your sense of safety and security has been threatened. Just like your emotional safety about like being able to be in a relationship without harassment. That is totally unsettling. The feeling of being able to be online without harassment was taken away from you. And those are all really impactful things on what should be an easy, happy period of your life in which you're in this new relationship. This is a very big hurdle. And also, like, I want to speak to like the pettiness of wanting to say all the mean things back to her in a petty, justifying way, right? I don't think there's anything unenlightened about wanting to be like, oh, my face, well, your face,
For sure. Yeah.
Because that's just the way our brains and our hearts and our nervous systems react. It's a fight or flight, and you want to fight. And I don't think there's anything unhealed or unenlightened about you if you want to hurt somebody who hurt you, right? The difference is the ability to regulate that instinct. It's not about not having those instincts. Like Sam always says, it's not about not having hard emotions. It's about finding new ways to deal with them. It's not about not wanting to hurt this person. It's about saying, you know what? I want to be so fucking petty. I want to get her fired from her job. I want her friends to know how inappropriate she was, how unhinged, And also, I am going to wash my hands of this. Also, I'm going to, part of the labor that I have to do to continue to process through this is to also say, like, her demise won't make any of this not happen. It won't take any of the labor that I just put into the last however many years away. It won't unhappen.
For sure. And I also want to remind you that this happened to you, right? Like, this is your story. This is the true thing that happened in your life. So you also get to talk about it if you want to talk about it, right? You can tell friends that this is the behavior that she's doing, right? You can tell her employer that this is what's happening with their employee account, right? And that's not vindictive or mean. That is about you telling the true experience of what this person did to you. And you can do it in a way that's not petty or mean, right? Like, you're not going to lash out and say, like, well, her face also looks like a shoe, right? But you can say, oh yeah, hey, just so you know, this person has been sending me really, really nasty messages, and it's really affecting me and my relationship. And I want you to know, not because I want you to like get your pitchforks and go tear down her house, but I want you to know because I want you to know what I've been going through for the past couple years, right? I want you to see the way that this has impacted me, because even if we don't want it to be, this is a part of your story now. This is a part of the way that you are moving through the world. This is going to shape aspects of your life for sure, because in the way that so many things that happen to us.
And that's probably where the anger is coming from, because like how
you didn't ask for
frustrating that is. How frustrating that she came into this chapter of your life and spilled all over it like this, And you know what?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking, I don't know, if you truly don't believe the things she said about you, I'm really glad. Because I think that this would really affect my self-esteem. It would take
100%,
a lot
same.
of extra work on my end and mental health related labor for me to be like, no, I am not these things. Or she's lashing out. This is, I guess what I'm trying to say is it takes a lot of energy to take someone's insult and recognize that that insult is coming out of their wound and it's not about you,
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
Shout out to the Discord people who take a metaphorical shot every time I say the word wound. So wound, wound, wound.
Love it. Love it. Everyone's
all.
drunk now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, I I had a situation a while ago where I had a friend who like came at me with all of these pent up accusations that were not super true about all of these things that I had done to cause them harm or whatever. Sent me this in this like an email, and it was this like weird, petty sort of like, what is happening? Why is this going on? And I think a younger me would have just taken that and internalized a lot of it, right? Even though I didn't necessarily believe it, but I would have thought it was like my job to do the work to not believe what was going on. And instead, what was actually like much more helpful for me was talking to other friends about what this person had said to me and being like, I know that this probably isn't true, but like, I also need to like hear it from somebody else, right? I need some like support and love and validation given the way that this person behaved so poorly to me. And it was so much easier to heal because I wasn't just like sitting there trying to be like, okay, how do I create empathy for this person? And how do I make sure that I don't believe anything that they're saying, like all on my lonesome? It was much easier to like reach out to people and say, it was much more validating. It made me feel much more like whole when I was able to get it from other people at the same time. And it didn't mean that I couldn't have handled it on my own or that I was somehow like weak in some way. It was actually that I was like using the strength of the relationships that I had with people to help continue to build me up, right? Like that's why I had devoted all of that time and energy into maintaining those friendships and like having authentic relationships with people. So I want to encourage you to not just say like, I got to tamp down on all of this and I have to foster a sense of empathy for this person who hurt me. I want you to foster a sense of empathy for yourself in like the painful thing that you've just been through. And I want you to ask for empathy from the people around you to say, this has been really hard and I don't need anyone to fix it. And I'm not saying that it's the worst thing that's ever happened to anyone in their life, but I'm really reeling from all of this stuff and I don't know how to move forward because you deserve empathy. At this point, she does too, but I don't think it has to come from you, right? Like, I don't think that you're the person to provide her empathy in this moment, right? I think that like anger or like dismissal is like the perfect emotion for you to be throwing at her in this moment. But you are also deserving of empathy. And I want you to be able to find that from the people around you and from yourself without having to worry that you need to somehow be this like enlightened, perfect person to be able to get empathy from other people or to provide empathy for yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also want to say really quickly that there's this like human urge to look at the car crash, right? There's this urge of like, I know you have her blocked everywhere, but it's like the shower arguments that we have in the shower. When you're like,
yeah.
Well, I'm
when you're arguing with your shower.
When you're like, you're not getting hot enough faster. No, in the shower when you're like trying to figure out, that was my dad joke of the day. When you're in the shower and you're trying to like, you're imagining all the things you would say back to that person. Oh, well, you think my face looks like a shoe. Your face looks like a boot, And there's a part of you that always wants the opportunity to defend yourself in that biting, articulate, perfect way. Like I think I've been in any comparable situation I've been in. I want it to end. And then there's this sick fuck part of me that wants it to go on one more time so that I can say my piece so that I can finally get to let go of the reins and be as unhinged as she is, right?
For sure.
And so I want to acknowledge if there's any part of that instinct in you, that's okay. That's real. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. All of these feelings, these insults that you want to throw at her that are inside you, they don't tell me or Sam anything about you that we think is bad, right? That is just a part of the human brain. That's part of our human emotional experience. And it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you less evolved or, mentally stable or any, it doesn't tell me anything about you other than the fact that somebody was really mean to you. And we've been taught from a really young age that how to react to meanness is to be mean. And look at you. Look at you not only letting their insults like roll off of you, but you're also saying like, I have all these mean, really biting things I could say to you. And I'm going to have the emotional regulation and the ability to pull it back and not actually say it. Like that's true maturity to me,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that might be helpful as you're having those shower arguments is to for sure do all the things that Sierra said of like, say those things out loud, right? Like get them out there. Like if you want to say them, say them. You don't have to say them to her. You can say them in the peacefulness of your own space. But I think it might also be helpful to tell her how much this has impacted you as well, right? To move into that vulnerability of, it's not just that I'm angry and your face looks like a shoe, but also about, I'm angry, your face looks like a shoe. And also this fucking hurts. Like this is so hard, right? Because that is probably my guess where the empathy is going to start to come from. Again, I'm not super concerned that you need to like practice the empathy right now.
Oh yeah.
But I think it will be
or
easier. Right. It'll be easier when you're able to move into a vulnerable space, not just about how angry you are and about how much you hate this person, but also about the impact that this person's actions has had on your life, which fucking sucks. I wish that it didn't. I wish that this had never happened. I wish that she had just like deleted her Instagram instead of messaging you about all of this stuff. But it did, and it hurts, and it's okay. We're here with you. We see you in the pain of that, the anger of that, the wanting to lash out of that, and say, absolutely, that all makes sense. So what do you need in this moment?
Yes. And again, I don't think there is a resolution emotionally that you have to like force yourself to. Do you know what I mean? Like you can, one day this won't feel as hard. And you won't feel as angry. You might feel angry every time you think back to this time of your life. But one day in your life, you're not going to think about this woman. You're not going to remember this time of your life. You're going to be busy moving on, experiencing other things, experiencing other hardships, other joys. This is just a moment of time, and this will feel lighter one day. You don't have to get to a point where you're like, oh my God, I forgive her and she's on a journey. One day you'll probably just forget about her.
I love her. Yeah, absolutely.
And ain't that the fucking best insult / revenge is that like, I have forgotten about you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, we love you so much. We hope that this helps.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for writing. We love you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, if you want more content from us, you can always support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you'll get an additional bonus weekly episode. That is patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can slide into our DMs, send us your favorite relationship meme, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters with the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise.
Please remember to follow, like, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need two random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of Duvid Media, original music, recording, editing, producing, all magical things by our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. And remember, not all people are for me, but also not all people deserve my empathy, my energy, or my active forgiveness. Sometimes people can just fade from our lives. We can move on and no longer prioritize their journey in our periphery. We can let people go if they are no longer a part of our stories. And if all else fails,
just break up.